This is the second generation of the Volvo XC90. This is the Ultra, the variant name actually, B5 all-wheel drive. This is actually the facelift. Why is it called the facelift? Because this is the second facelift of the XC90, which is now 10 years old. Yes, this car is quite dated. In fact, Volvo has done an Audi here because the Q7 was also launched at the same time, around the same time actually in 2015, has got two facelifts and does not get a diesel engine. Volvo and Audi, what's cooking? Anyways, the key is the same as before. You've got some buttons here. Basically, this is to turn on the hazard, this is to lock the car, this is to unlock the car, and this is to open the boot of the vehicle. Yes, you can get a different colored key, which will obviously look very premium. Not much has changed on this car because it is literally a lifted face, as they have changed the grille of this vehicle, which is now bigger, a different design here. The lights are bigger. In fact, the lights touch the grille here, making the front look slightly different when compared to before. These are new matrix LED lights. In fact, it says active high beam system on the inside. It says Volvo here. You get dynamic swipe indicators at the front, and you get the Thor Hammer LED DRL. You know what Volvo has done? They've also changed the bumper of this car and taken the opportunity to remove the fog lamps here. Yes, the fog lamps have been removed very sneakingly. People won't even realize it. The bumper is new, has less amount of cuts and creases, a little bit more simple in that regard. You get 6 parking sensors at the front. Yeah, 6 of them, 2 here and 1 there and 1 on the side. This is the provision for a towing hook. Is this the panel for radar? I really don't know. The big Volvo logo with a camera here. And straight away, let's open the engine bay, because I'm a bit disappointed here that they have reduced the output, because this is the B5, not the B6. The hood opens way too vertical. If you're not tall enough, you're not going to be able to put that down, so you need a ladder here. Obviously, says Volvo here on the plastic engine cover, and that is the engine number. Washer fluid goes in right there. This can easily accommodate a 6-cylinder engine, but Volvo is like, no, we will give you a 4-cylinder only. Yeah, Volvo just loves 4-cylinder engines. Oh my goodness, I can't reach her. It's so freaking high up. Anyways, let's shut that. Headlight washers were removed with the previous facelift itself. So Volvo keeps removing a lot of stuff from its cars, which is kind of disappointing. And there you get a camera, which is obviously for the lane keep assist, and you also get a rain sensor right there. Now, these lights are amazing because they get the welcome and goodbye animation for the Thor's Hammer DRL, which has this nice effect at night. Coming to the side of the car, not much has changed. The length is almost 5 meters, the wheelbase is almost 3 meters, the ground clearance, when it's the maximum, is 252 mm, which is good actually. The alloy wheels are new, but slightly different in terms of design, not drastically so. 275/45/20 is the size of the tires. So again, these are low profile tires, which is not really needed on an SUV. There you can see the suspension. You get a camera here. There is no projection from the outside rear view mirrors at night. You get this chrome treatment here. In fact, you get chrome around here as well. I remember the T8, which I've driven almost 8 years back, had proper steel finishing here, which looked awesome. Now this car doesn't look very old from the side as such. The design is still okay, but yes, it's feeling its age now. Volvo really needs to comprehensively update this car. This is where fuel goes in. There is no diesel here, which was the case earlier, so diesel is also gone. At the rear, changes are not there at all because you do not get dynamic swipe indicators. That is the rear fog. A tail light, which is very similar to the Scorpio N as well as the Wagoner. Obviously, Volvo is the OG, the original, who started this vertical tail light design. 6 parking sensors at the rear. You get this chrome here on the bumper. Slight change here. The color was different earlier. And the exhaust have been tucked down below on both the sides, so that's the same as earlier. You get reflectors here as well. You get a massive rear wiper, high mounted stop lamp. You obviously get a rear spoiler along with a shark fin antenna as well. Now if you come behind and dance, now it will open the boot because it obviously has that sensor. Let me open the boot because it's a powered tailgate obviously, and the problem here is when you have all the 3 rows up, where do you keep the parcel shelf? That's a bit of a problem. This is the car cover, this is the net, and because I have no space to keep stuff, I'm just going to keep it here for the moment. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, because I need to show you that it has a partition in spite of not being a British car, which is kind of funny. You have 71 liters of storage space here, but there's the spare tire. So where exactly is the storage space? Not really. So spare wheel is not an alloy. It is smaller sized as well. And you get the toolkit right there with the jack and obviously all those things. Yeah, tire just fits in here. 125/70/19 is the size of the tire. Steel wheel, obviously. You can just put the seat down like this, and once you do that, the boot carrying capacity is a massive 1007 liters. Otherwise, with the seats up, it is just 356 liters. But the problem is now these are not powered seats, which is kind of crazy for this price. So in order to get those seats back, firstly I have to climb here and then pull it back. It's quite the effort. Come on, Volvo, you can do better here. Jeremy Clarkson owned 3 of these. I'm sure he would not be able to climb to put the seats back up. This needs to be powered for sure. This cannot be like this. Anyways, let's keep this stuff inside. Now I have to figure out how do I keep the parcel shelf, because it will just not fit in. Yeah, it does fit in. This is the first aid kit, which is actually very premium because Volvo obviously focuses on safety. 12-volt charging socket, a hook which can take 5 kgs of weight, and then you can raise or put the air suspension down from here so that it's easier to put in longer items. So that's a very handy thing to have. I definitely like it. The hook is here as well. There's a light placement right there. And let's just press a button to shut the power tailgate. By the way, it gives you instruction how you need to dance behind to open the power tailgate. Now let's get into the rear, because it's a few interesting bits. Now the seat is all the way ahead. It slides ahead and behind, so I can just slide it behind if I want. Again, this is not powered. I have to put this like this. Okay, this is not, now it folds. So now if you notice, we have a 40-20-40 split seat. The problem here is, here you have a lever. On that seat also you have a lever, but you have a loop like this which you need to pull, which is not very good because it's a little difficult to operate, especially when you want to put the seat up. Now it just doesn't work that way, so that's a bit disappointing. And then I realized it's not a one-hand operation at all. Yes, and this seat can be reclined as well, which is good. If I put this button, push this button, then I can push this all the way ahead and get into the rear seat, which has no space for adults. Firstly, you're sitting so low in both these rows that under thigh support is not the best. And here, you don't get height adjustable headrest. No height adjustable headrest in this car, except this one. The center passenger gets a headrest. There's a cup holder here. There's some storage space here. There is this hook so that you can secure your luggage as well. AC vent right here in the third row. And I don't know what this is exactly. It says IC airbag. So airbags everywhere. Speakers placement on the top hook. Coat hook there. I think this is the microphone which is able to help you talk from front to back, which is nice, but there is no space in the third row for tall people like me. Under thigh support is extremely poor. Headroom is also not adequate. This is a namesake 3-row SUV because it just doesn't have the space, and getting in and out is very difficult because there's this narrow passage through which you have to get in and out, which is not the best. Okay, it gives you some instruction. Volvo Plus stickers almost everywhere possible. Let me put this back. Okay, now let me tell you that few things could be better. Like, what is this magazine holder? It should be aircraft style. Now that's not the case here. AC vents here, AC vents here in the center as well. Height adjustable seat belts for the front. What's new? Well, it has got height adjustable seat belts for the second row as well, which is very nice indeed. And you get this slight hump here, which means center passenger is not very comfortable. You get an armrest here, which has got cup holders too. By the way, I was telling you now, close. This is height adjustable. There's this button which has an instruction of how to put this headrest down, which is kind of nice. You have a handle to hold on to along with a hook. Coat hook there, light placement here on the top. Just press it to turn it on and off, which is kind of nice. But yes, legroom, knee room could be better. Under thigh support is not the best, and headroom seems to be adequate enough. So yes, second row experience is okay, not great. You get 2 USB-C charging sockets here, and you get AC vents here. So let me turn on the air conditioning, and once I do that, I can obviously operate it because it has got a 4-zone climate control air conditioning system. Bowers and Wilkins, it says the door pockets at the rear are not big enough. You can lock the door at the rear, but you cannot unlock it, which is kind of funny. And you obviously get a manual sun blind as well. However, unlike its rivals, this car does not get soft close door function. You have to close your own door. There's some illumination which comes out from the door handles, and you have got request sensors on all the 4 doors, which means when you approach the car, automatically the car will obviously unlock as well. Now the front is actually good because the seats are like really nice and comfortable. Can be adjusted in a multitude of ways. Easter egg here says since 1959. Yeah, a lot of Easter eggs on this car. In fact, it says SRS, some information about the airbag system has been put there. So Volvo has obviously tried to put as many Easter eggs as possible, because when you hunt around, you find a lot more. Like, there is the Swedish flag here, but Volvo is a Chinese company. Now it's owned by a Chinese company. It says airbag here. There's a center airbag, so that's a knee airbag for the driver. This is to open the boot of the vehicle. In fact, here you get a secret storage space as well. Door pockets are not that big at the front. Child lock function here. Memory seats, you can save up to 3 people's settings here, which is kind of nice. In fact, under thigh support is never an issue because you can extend the under thigh support by quite a lot, which is quite amazing. Yes, that is good under thigh support. I like it. It gets a 19-speaker Bowers and Wilkins sound system. The audio quality is just phenomenal. Because you can obviously choose a lot of modes from this particular system. Anyways, If you notice one thing, there's a lot of beige, a lot of color placement. In fact, somebody has put a pen mark here which hurts me a lot, and this is for the rear wiper control. The stocks are also nice and meaty. In fact, they have made a slight change to the steering wheel as well. So there was no hole here, now they have a hole, otherwise it was having a proper, like, that is how it is. So steering gets minor changes as well. You get a heads up display which is a bit plain and basic, not that exciting, and that is the tweeter in the center, says Bowens and Milkins. Now the glove box opens by pressing a button here. The glove box is decent sized. You get a pen holder here, you get a shelf here as well, but doesn't get the cooling function. This is actually the leather cleaner which comes with the car, which is kind of nice, feels robust, and the seats are actually quite nice and impressive as well. I definitely like it. What does IC airbag mean? Why don't they just write airbag? This does not extend. You get a mirror and light, but this does not extend. Even the driver gets a handle to hold onto. Microphone here on the top. This is the WhatsApp logo. You press this button and it tells you that if you hold it for 2 seconds, you can make an emergency call for SOS, and just slide this behind like this, and there it opens. So this is a panoramic sunroof which obviously brings in a lot of airiness, and it opens further. That is big enough. Well, that is what she said. That's the wind deflector with which I was playing right now. But this is like a touch sensitive thing. You just need to like swipe it to open and close it. Light placement here on the top, obviously. Now what are the changes to the interior? Earlier it did not have multiple layering, like the dashboard was the same, but now they have layered a different color here, a different color here, lot of colors. In fact, the AC vent design has been changed as well, because the screen is now bigger. The earlier screen was 9-inch, so it was integrated into the dashboard. This one has been stuck on like an iPad because this is an 11.2-inch screen, because of which the AC vents had to be redesigned here. Got some physical buttons here, hazard lights, front and rear defogger, front and back on a track, pause and mute, and then obviously the volume controller, which is a physical dial. Thankfully there's a wireless charging pad here. This slides to reveal 2 cup holders, and here there's some storage space as well. There's a USB-C charging socket here, another USB-C. This actually connects to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity, because there is no wireless connectivity. Yes, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are not wireless here. Which year are we in? 2015? Yes, the year this car was designed. A 12-volt charging socket, so there's decent space here. The good thing is about this sliding, so you can close it. Electric parking brake, auto hold function, gear lever gets the crystal effect, which is amazing. And I love the way this engine start stop button has been done. This is so premium, nice and super duper cool as well. Refill washer fluid. When you get into reverse now, it will put the outside rear view mirrors actually down, which is kind of nice and cool. Yeah, that's a good feature to have, so that it's helpful when you're reversing in Europe, not in India, because usually you are parked next to a car, so I have to like duck and see what's happening. It gets double glazed windows, which really doesn't help because this car still is not having the best insulation. You've got physical buttons here, proper buttons. This is obviously for the cruise control and for the ADAS function, and this is for the audio system, so you can increase the volume, you can go ahead of track and whatever. Voice commands, and this is to just say no to whatever warning is coming. Now this is a fully digital instrument cluster. The problem is you can either go to this no map view or a map view, or you can see the trip computer. That's about it. Nothing changes. So when you turn on and off the car, it obviously has some information coming, like Volvo comes written right there. And the biggest problem here is that you cannot customize it. Earlier, when you used to turn on the car, it used to show you the list of features that this car possesses. However, that has been removed as well. So steering change here, bigger screen, new AC vents, different layering and colors, and the Android OS of this particular infotainment system has been updated. That's the only change on the inside, so very limited changes here. Now the good thing is, because the OS has been updated, it is actually nice, and so you can just browse through it. And because this is an Android based system, you get Google Maps inbuilt, which means that you don't have to really worry about Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity. Here things are a little sensible. Earlier the sensors menu, which was when the car was initially launched, wasn't the best, but here now things are way more sorted. So you can come into driving and you can make changes to a lot of parameters here, including ADAS and all those things I will obviously play with when driving the car. The problem is that there is just one interior ambient light color. You cannot change it. So there's an ambient light color which comes on the doors. It comes all here. It's white colored. You can't change it. There's a jack mode. It doesn't have a rose mode, unfortunately. Otherwise you will have to get your pen out to start drawing. Meanwhile, you can make a few changes to a lot of things. You can fold the headrest from here. So if I press the button there, the headrest actually fall, which is cool. I like this function actually. So menu is relatively easy to browse through, but again, it's not a very interesting menu as such. And then you have got seat heating as well as seat ventilation, and both of them, they can be turned on simultaneously as well. You get a dual zone climate control, air conditioning system. Let me turn on the climate here, manual, and there, you know, it has this nice effect. Look at this. If I decide I want the air to come on the top and all that, nice effect. Yeah, I really like it. In fact, I'm just going to turn on the rear AC as well. So yes, you can use it from here, and then you have something known as timer, so you can obviously decide when you want the air to be purified on the inside, and then you can see what is the air quality as well. So yes, it says clean zone is achieved here. So air conditioning is actually a chiller, works really nicely, and then from here you can also sync both the AC zones. There's YouTube here, and because this has got internet connected car, you can watch videos as well, because this is Google now, so obviously it will prioritize on all those things. Google Maps is there, Google Assistant is there. In fact, let's use Google Assistant. Why do you think that the BMW X5 is better than this car?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
What is the price of the Volvo XC90?
On the website caranddriver.com, they say, the price of the 2025 Volvo XC90 starts at 58,695.
58,600, whatever it says. So the price is technically around 55 lakhs in the US, and it is double in India, and we get lesser features. In fact, if you notice one thing now, there are some vents here, but there are exposed screws here, which is not so Volvo-ish. The horn is decent actually. It's nice and loud, but the steering is manually adjustable, which is surprising. Like I was telling you, the front fogs have been removed, but the button has been retained. So this button is a dummy button. It does absolutely nothing. So this button is for the rear fog. This is for the front fog. The front fog button is of no use in this car. So they removed the fog lamps, but they forgot that they have to remove the button as well, because people like me would identify it. Anyways, let's come into reverse. This is the reverse parking camera. You have a 360-degree view. That's a top view, side views, front view. You have got a lot of views here, but there is no bird's eye view, which obviously disappoints me a lot, because I expected a bird's eye view. Come on, this car costs a lot of money and doesn't get a lot of those features, but it gets seat massage. Just press a button here and it will activate it here. So there are 5 massage modes: wave, tread, combined, lower back and shoulders, 3 intensities and 3 speed. I don't understand what's the difference between speed and intensity, but yes, it has got front seat massage, and you can obviously adjust the seats from here as well. Meanwhile, it actually gets illumination here. Yes, this thing actually illuminates at night with Volvo written right there. Now, you can adjust this seat from the driver's side, for which you have to come into the settings, controls. Everything is so reliant on the screen now, it's a bit frustrating. And then you can adjust the passenger seat once activated. Use these switches to be able to move this seat if you want. So this can be done by the driver, but ideally it should be done from this guy who's sitting at the rear. But unfortunately, that does not happen. Now, this car does not get a manual only, because it has got something known as a digital manual. But enough of the yapping. Let's start driving right away. All right, it's time to start driving. Let's turn on the car. I love this switch. This is so freaking cool. Car is turned on. It's super duper silent. You can't hear a thing. Let's quickly come into the drive modes, because there are none actually. So what do I change? There's absolutely nothing I can change. Steering feel is firm. Suspension feel, I'll make it firm. And that's about it. There are no drive modes as such. And straight away, I'm going to come into drive mode, not manual, drive mode. And hazard lights off, and off we go. Let me turn off the air conditioning as well. Climate control off. And the thing is, the reason I did not launch the car yet is simply because the road is wet, so I would not get a good acceleration time. So let's just get some heat into our tires. Look, after watching the Formula 1 movie, I have become such a racer myself. Just kidding. Like, I've been watching Formula 1 since like 20 years, when I was a Chintu Mintu child as well. Anyways, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor, and off we go. Upshifts at 5,500 RPM. That's premature upshift. Second gear, it upshifts at around 6,000 RPM, slightly under 6,000 RPM, and that's 0 to 100 km per hour in 8.6 seconds, which is slower than Volvo's claim, because Volvo claims this car goes from 0 to 100 km per hour in 7.7 seconds, which doesn't seem true, but then I'll give the car benefit of doubt. The road was not that good. There was not optimum traction. By the way, you can't turn off ESP, you can't turn off any of the systems in this car, which is very disappointing, because it just feels so restrictive, as if the CCP is controlling this car. You know what is CCP, right? The Communist China Party. I don't know what's the full form, but I made my own. Anyways, this car is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine which makes 250 horsepower and 360 Newton meters of torque. This engine is known as the B5. The last time I drove a Volvo XC90 and I made a video out of it, that was around 3 years back when we had the B6 available. This is the B5, by the way. So I don't understand why they have reduced the power output. The Scorpio is not moving, only what's happening here. Body on frame is so heavy you can't move or what. Anyway, so like I was telling you, the older Volvo which I had driven, that one had the B6 engine which produces 300 horsepower and 420 Newton meters of torque, going from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just a matter of 6.5 seconds. So yeah, this car is 1.2 seconds slower here just because they have reduced the power and torque. And what kind of a traffic jam is this? It's unfreaking believable, but no problem. We will circumvent all this by just going around like this and off we go. I don't think we can take our regular route today because there's just way too much traffic here. So let's quickly do the wiper test. The water spray actually comes out from the wiper, so the nozzles have been integrated into the wiper. That's how smooth it is, and it says refill washer fluid. As soon as I used it, this guy's like, refill washer fluid. That's mean of you. And I'm just going to change the cluster mode because that is the only option I get. Why is the center completely empty and the distance to emptiness so dynamic now? As soon as I get into the throttle now, it reduces the distance to empty dramatically. Like sometime back it was 300 kilometers, now it's 200 kilometers. So that was kind of fast. Anyways, let me just turn on the map only. There's so much jam here, I don't know why. I was just going to tap the paddle to downshift, but there are no paddle shifters. There's no sport mode, there's no drive mode as such. There's an off-road mode which basically increases the ride height of the vehicle because there's air suspension. And it tweaks the ESP system and it obviously throttles the power to make it more comfortable while going off-road, because more throttle off-road means you're going to get stuck really quickly. Those are the only changes which happen. So there is no drive mode as such. Suspension mode is either firm or soft, and when you obviously choose between either of them, the air suspension raises and drops. So under soft, the air suspension raises up. Under stiff or firm, it drops down. Quite a lot of movement of the air suspension, but in spite of having an air suspension, this car's ride quality is not good. It is on the stiffer side. It's not very comfortable, so the ride is not that great here. In fact, the handling is also not good because there is body roll. Steering does have weight but doesn't really have much of a feel as such. So this car neither rides well, neither handles well. What is this car doing? It should have at least one of the aspects, like at least it should excel in one of the parameters of handling or ride quality. It does in neither. It's very neutral in that regard. So yeah, you feel very uncomfortable, especially at the rear. The suspension needs to be better here because this car has been tuned for developed countries where obviously such kind of suspension systems are awesome on good roads. Our roads are far from good, so you can feel almost everything. And the other problem is, in spite of having double glazed windows, this car has a lot of wind and road noise coming inside. So yeah, insulation levels are not that great either. Anyways, let's talk about the engine. The engine gets the job done. Power delivery is very linear, however, it becomes very vocal and you have to really get hard into the throttle to extract the best from this motor, otherwise it doesn't move. And why is that? Because it's a 4-cylinder engine. All its rivals offer a 3-liter petrol engine with a V6 power plant. So here we have a big disadvantage. In fact, the rivals also offer a diesel engine. I'm not even getting into it. This car definitely needs more punch. I remember having driven the T8 sometime back, long back actually. That had 400 horsepower, but that was turbocharged, that was supercharged, that had battery assist. In fact, the B6 engine has turbocharging and supercharging along with a 22 horsepower boost from the electric motor, small battery. Like here, we have a 48 volt system, which does assist. Turbo lag is well contained. This is not a car which you really enjoy driving, and this is not a car which you enjoy being a passenger in either because of the unfortunately stiff ride quality in this car. So it's neither here, neither there. And that's something which kind of surprises me, that what kind of overconfidence Volvo has. I want such kind of confidence in life that I'm going to a gunfight with a knife, knowing very well that my rivals offer a diesel engine, a bigger V6 petrol engine, and obviously a lot more features. And that's not all. My rivals are also offering paddle shifter, they're also offering sport mode, they're offering so many more things at a similar price point. Yeah, at 1.19 crores on road Mumbai, this is not a cheap car. So Volvo is not even offering you a price which is so attractive that you forget about sport mode or paddle shifters. No, that also doesn't happen. I don't understand why they're not giving paddle shifters. It's basic. Let's come into manual mode for the gearbox. Do I have manual control of things? No, I do not have any manual control. I can come into manual mode, but the car will decide how it wants to shift gears. So that's again very disappointing here. I like the horn. Yeah, the horn is super duper awesome. Engine becomes vocal, upshifts very fast at around 6000 rpm. So why is Volvo behaving this way, knowing very well that the competition is very tough from the Germans? Well, Volvo thinks that ICE is over. Internal combustion engine is not important at all. They want to become an electric car company under Chinese ownership of Geely, and that's the reason their focus is on the EX90. They could have done one thing, taken the rear end of the EX90 and put it on this car, wherein we would have got dynamic swipe indicators, a better rear end design, and better lights as well with welcome and goodbye animation. But unfortunately, they have not done that either. Now everyone will be like, yeah, you know what, Volvo is all about safety, why are you talking about performance? I have not even mentioned that the top speed of this car is restricted to 180 kilometers per hour, which makes it unusable in Germany. Yeah, that's it, 180 kilometers per hour. So restricting people doesn't make sense. Let people decide how they want to drive and at what speeds they want to drive, because at the end of the day, people who buy these German fast cars, they also end up easily opening up the limiter from 250 kilometers per hour to 300 kilometers per hour. The car brand only sells you that package. Here, we'll unlock it for you for 4-5 lakh rupees and also give you AMG driver training or M driver training or RS driver training of that sort. But here, Volvo is like, no, you can't go above 180 kilometers per hour. So I don't understand this whole concept of being against speed, thinking that safety is going to improve. At the end of the day, teaching people to drive better, follow rules, and that's what makes more sense, right? Then rather than restricting them, because no matter how much you restrict, 180 kilometers per hour is also a very high speed as such. And Volvo might be focused on safety, but that does not mean that the competition is not at par, because if you check the NCAP ratings, Euro NCAP ratings of say the X5 or even the Mercedes GLA or the Audi Q7, all of them have fared extremely well. So Volvo wants to play the safety trump card, but there's nothing they have which the rivals don't. But the rivals have a lot more what Volvo doesn't have here, especially in terms of the engine, in terms of the performance, in terms of the suspension, ride quality, and a lot of other things, which makes me believe that the XC90 has been way too long in the tooth and definitely needs a comprehensive update right now, because as I see it, the way it is right now, it just cannot take the fight to the Germans. Anyways, we're going to be doing the brake test at around 70 kilometers per hour. Let me stand on the brakes. Lot of judder from the ABS system. Braking is good, but yeah, there's just too much judder here. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, hazard lights off, and off we go. Okay, there's no launch control either. You can see it is showing me the blind spot alert light there, but this car doesn't even have a blind view monitor as such. So a lot of stuff is missing in this car. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.76 seconds. So close to Volvo's claim, but to be fair, there's a downslope. But to be fair, the road is also wet. So yeah, you win some, you lose some. Now, this car is underpinned by the scalable product architecture, a platform which is a Volvo specific one, which Geely does not use. Geely actually uses the platform which underpins the XC40 in a lot of their cars, like the Starray and all those things. And this car has an 8-speed as-in-source torque converter automatic gearbox, which is not fast pitch shifts. It's very easy going, and then you don't even have manual control of things. So yeah, it's a very easy going car. Performance isn't very sprightly, and then the overall dynamics are not that great either. But in terms of feel good factor, the XC90 is absolutely excellent. In fact, the XC90 has a very strong brand holding, because since it was launched in 2002, it has created a wave of sorts in a lot of countries wherein people want something practical and something for the family. And it was on sale for around 12 years till 2014. It was so good, the first generation, that they got an XC90 Classic to sell for a few more years in China and other countries. That's kind of like Skoda doing a anyways, I need to beep that because saying camera is just so freaking wrong. Now, the first Volvo SUV, the XC90, actually came with 4, 5 and 6 cylinder engine options. There was a D5, I think there was a diesel with a 5-cylinder engine, petrol. I mean, the engine lineup was just amazing, and then Volvo was like, no, let's downsize now, enough of giving people fun. So this is what has happened right now. Now, like I was telling you, the price of this car is rupees 1.19 crores. So 10.5 lakhs goes into the registration of this car, and the first year insurance is not much, 3.27 lakhs. Now, when we compare it to its immediate rivals, the big fat segment eaters, the cars which actually sell the most in the segment, the Mercedes GLE, which costs rupees 1.32 crores but has 2 more cylinders, that's amazing, and the BMW X5, whose price actually starts at rupees 1.11 crores and goes up to 1.26 crores. I just feel that the X5 is one of the best cars you can buy in the country right now, and when I compared with this Volvo XC90, I realized why I love the BMW X5 even more, because the X5 is just phenomenal in terms of the kind of performance it offers, the features, the feel-good factor, factor, the ride comfort, the dynamics and all, everything in the X5 is just absolutely in freaking sane. This car, in spite of being 10 years old, still manages to hold on to its own by offering you a very unique luxury car experience. It is Volvo's flagship SUV, and being the flagship, it definitely deserves a bigger update as such to make things much better. Now we are in third gear because I'm in manual mode, but I can't control the manual mode, so I'll just come into the drive mode here. I like this car. I really like the XC90. I think it's a fantastic car. It just is priced high for what it offers. If the price was corrected, then maybe the lack of sport mode, the lack of launch control, and the lack of all these things is pardonable. But as I see it right now, this car is going to appeal to a very small segment of buyers because people want features, bro. In our country, everybody is so obsessed with features, and that's where this car falters completely. The value for money quotient, which Volvo should be known for or was known for earlier, is just missing here, and that is one of the major gremlins of this car. It just doesn't feel worth its price. Hopefully though, with the new generation, I don't know if a new generation is coming, but hopefully there's a newer generation of the XC90 which takes the goalpost forward completely, because in the past 10 years, the XC90 has remained the way it has remained. Whoops! Yeah, it's just not changed, unfortunately. And on that disappointment, it's time to end. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, I'm like thinking of downshifting, but I have no paddle shifters here. Cries in tears. Bye-bye. Now that I have wiped my tears, I would like to also discuss a few other things about this car. I have a lot to say, but then I was like, why are we just stretching the video? Oh my god, this guy is driving the wrong way and then he's nodding his head as if it's my fault. Okay, so taking a U-turn is not a problem at all because turning radius isn't bad, but then rear wheel steering is something which this car is not capable of incorporating only because of its age. And Volvo's sales and service network is actually chintu mintu in India, because BMW and Mercedes obviously have a much bigger service network. But in terms of upkeep cost, Volvo is relatively on the lower side when compared to Mercedes and BMW. So that's a win with Volvo. And in terms of reliability, I think with lesser cylinders, cars will be more reliable, less things to go wrong. Like, I will never have a problem of having paddle shifters stop working in this car because there are none. I would never have a problem of the screen not being able to enable sport mode because there is none. But I did have a problem of trying to connect via Bluetooth because the screen is new but still not that fluid, and then there's nothing dramatic about the screen, something which rivals offer. So clearly this is not a driver's car, this is not a chauffeur driven car. I mean, it's not the car for passengers, because you come across such a road and then you realize, yeah, everything shakes inside. I think 20-inch wheels are just wrong for this car. This car has to run on 18-inch wheels with much higher profile tires, and this air suspension is not really helping this car in any way whatsoever, because the ride is just not better because of the air suspension here. So they really need to figure out what to do. Maybe steel springs would just be a better idea here. And that ground clearance is good, but this is not a car you would like to take off-road. Now power delivery feels more front-centric as such. The car doesn't really understeer or oversteer. It doesn't go into that because you hardly push it, because it doesn't really egg you to push it hard. It's just so easy going. It's a car which is just so laid back. By the way, all the ADAS systems, they work really well. In fact, Volvo was one of the first few car brands to come up with the whole suite of ADAS systems, which they call as pilot assist, and not very intrusive. Lane keep assist works well. Let it self-drive. Will it self-drive? No, it will not right now, because it's like you drive yourself. Yeah, tires have decent amount of grip. All-wheel drive system, na? So then the drive experience is obviously much better in an all-wheel drive system. So let's do one thing. Let's launch this car. Left foot on the brake. One second, let me stop before doing left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, and off we go. The car cover is sliding behind. It's going to be slower, 9 seconds I believe. 8.3 seconds, not bad at all. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That's a like button, and also subscribe. Bye.